Hey guys, it's the Aussie Arm Wrestler here. Just want to give a shout out to my fantastic sponsor, Pound for Pound Arm Wrestling. Guys, it's everything you need in the arm wrestling world. Chalk, straps, shirts, the quality is fantastic. Head over to poundforpoundarmwrestling.com and get everything you need. Now, let's get on with the show. We've punched it out. We are on. This will be take 2 and I'll explain later. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ready Bang, the number one arm wrestling show on the planet. I'm your host, the Aussie Arm Wrestler. And as always, got to get and show the most sought after trophy in the arm wrestling world. I am the 2019 left arm 80 to 95 kilo amateur third place, because I'm just a genuine superstar. But speaking of genuine superstars, this man needs no introduction, but of course I'm going to give him one. He is the fastest growing YouTube sensation on the planet. Very hilarious of what he is doing. This man loves it when you lift weights incorrectly. You can just see that smile on his face. He's ready to uppercut me. He is a multiple WAL hammer holder, and he is the current middleweight champion of the world. I call him the 3 letters of doom, RVJ, the animal, Rob Vidgen Jr. Rob, welcome to the show.
Hey, what's up, dude? But truthfully, I want to have you follow me around and narrate my life. I just want, like some people think that they have like a soundtrack that embodies them. Like, they might hear Saturday Night Fever or some other shit. I just want you to follow me and narrate my footsteps. That's good. I like that introduction. You're pretty good.
Oh, my man. Yeah, I could see it now. And ladies and gentlemen, Rob is reaching for the salt. He's decided not to go for the pepperoni steak today. I could easily do that.
No reaching for the pepperoni. I don't want to get the wrong idea.
And as always, when you have the middleweight champion of the world, the Aussie Arm Wrestler does not care what time it is. He is having a beer. Now, I've got to let everyone know what a champion Rob is. We tried to do this yesterday, and I was having some internet issues, and we spoke for about 15, 20 minutes. So Rob and his wife were very patient to do a bit of a retake. So we briefly met yesterday, which I was very excited about, but I stuffed it up. But Rob has joined us. So, Rob, how are you, my man? And thank you for yesterday.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, we all have technical difficulties. That's the way it goes. But I'm good. I'm much like you, enjoying my Friday night. Well, what is it there? Saturday morning?
Saturday morning, 7 a.m.
Oh, okay. So I'm at Friday night. You're at Saturday morning. But I think they're both good times to have a drink. Oh. And I'm just happy to be on your show. Big fan. When I first heard you, I thought you were very much, you probably get a lot like Aussie Man reviews.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think you're every bit as good as him. And I think that from listening to you off the cuff, you're probably as good as him as what he does scripted. So I'm happy to be on the show. I think it's great. I love it.
Oh, man, that will be clip edited, and I will send that out to the world. If you get an endorsement from RVJ, you hold on to that, mate. I really appreciate it.
I don't blow smoke. I don't like fake shit. So, you know what? If it smells like shit, it's shit. But no, you're putting out a good product. I like it.
Oh, fantastic. And you are definitely someone that doesn't do fake shit. Now, before everyone starts jumping in the comments and banging on about this match with Ryan Bowen, we will get there. But speaking of you definitely not being fake, if you have been living under a rock or had internet problems like me, but at least for the last 2 months, this man is very, very entertaining on YouTube. If you haven't already, go show him some love. Now, probably as little as a month ago, my man Rob, you were almost hating on YouTube channels and just not liking it because, as you mentioned before, you just hate fake shit. And some of the stuff that can come out on the entertainment side of things can be fake. What changed your mind? And we're glad you changed your mind.
All right, so nothing really changed my mind. I'll be honest, I still hate fake shit. I still hate fake YouTube. I do. But I came to a conclusion after talking to Devin Larratt, basically being like, dude, you're holed up. Put your thoughts on camera and whatever's going on in your life and just air it. Air your laundry. Air it. And I'm like, Devin, I don't have anything different but being a train wreck. He's like, show the train wreck. And I realized that there is a little bit of a void of people who stand for that, like, shit that nobody wants to talk about or nobody wants to say. There's a void of political incorrectness, but it's not really politically incorrect because we're all thinking it. We just don't want to say it. It's like I said about pornography. Nobody watches pornography. Nobody does.
No. Multi-billion-dollar business.
Nobody wants their search engine looked at too deep, right? Nobody.
Yeah, I've heard about it.
You're like, what is this midget on midget and, whatever, right? Nobody wants to deal with that. So I saw a void there that was like, and then once I kind of got in a rhythm, it's super easy because it's not anything more than just chronicling my thoughts and just putting them out there to the world. Like I said, Devin talked me into it because him and I had many conversations. Like, just start a YouTube and start putting shit out there. Do I still hate 99.9% of the YouTube channels out there? Admittedly, yes. But I am actually, like, of sorts a YouTuber, but it's more of a chronicle of how I really feel. The person you get through this camera is who you'll get if you sat down with me and talked to me at a pub, same thing.
100% you can tell, and that's what makes your channel absolutely growing. I mean, one of my standout videos is the Arsene Liliev, the anonymous weigh-in video. Oh,
I got that video I taken down because apparently I assaulted a couple kids there, which I did. But I wanted to make sure it was authentic.
Oh my God! If you haven't seen it, Rob gets his children involved in the way. It is hilarious, and that's why we enjoy this guy. Gives us life advice as well. He doesn't want us to be a mosquito. You've just got to go check it all out. But there is one video. My wife, now she's 5 foot. She's about 50 kilos heavy, and she was having a go at Rob Vidgen Jr. I couldn't believe it. My beautiful wife was next to me. We had one of your videos on the TV, and she was having a crack at the middleweight champion. You were going on one of the RVJ rants, which is beautiful. But you had a drink in front of you, and my wife turned to me and goes, "Is he ever going to have any of his drink? Tell him to have some of his drink." You just had it sat there, and I just thought, wow, my wife's having a crack at the middleweight champ of the world.
To be fair, that's much like you. When I get on a rip, I could probably talk about 5 minutes straight and not even breathe. I could actually, if I looked into it, if I try to hold my breath underwater, I could probably only last about maybe a minute. But if you gave me something to bitch about and put me underwater, I could probably last about 15 minutes. No problem. No problem.
Oh, there's your next video. The RVJ underwater rant.
Underwater. Bitch it to the dolphins.
You got to have the Jaws music in the background. Now everyone has jumped on because you are being an absolute pioneer, and we're going to take it back to the start. Of course, if you don't know, later on in the year, the middleweight champion of the world is going to have an exhibition match against my fellow countryman, Ryan Blue Bowen. Now, by the looks of it, you two are absolute besties. You could probably go out there and change your relationship status to in a relationship with Ryan Bowen, the way it's all gone back and forth. We'll probably just go back to the start. You threw some terms out there. Were they just random terms, or was that a genuine thought through, if you want the champ, here are the terms? Or did you just go, have them?
No. Those terms were, I think, pretty calculated because in my mind as a natural athlete, I could see the landscape of what's out there, of guys that I know how they got there, why they got there. And I said, let's, anybody. anybody, let's take a blood test. Let's take a month, this much long, and by the term, meaning the length of this testing, was if I'm going to take a match such as this, I'll be cutting off my other opportunities throughout the year. So really, when you look at the number, it sounds like it's extraordinary, like I'm trying to sell someone off me. But what I'm doing is making it worthwhile we're self-funding the testing. It's a self-funded testing. And I want it to be legitimate so it can be not scrutinized by somebody else. I want it to be something that goes down in the history books. So it's a self-funded testing, and the whole production is like a self-funded thing, however it is with the travels and everything. And it's a number that would be cutting off my avenues for the year. I'm sure it'll be cutting off his avenues for the year. So it's not a crazy number when you look at it. If you look at it as like, we're coming today and we hit a scratch ticket for $50,000, fine. But when you look at it over the course of a year, it's not crazy, but it's good for an athlete standpoint like myself. It puts some juice in it. It makes it worth it. Not juice. Not the fucking juice.
And he even gets a steroid putt in there. Yes, absolutely.
I just tested positive. Yeah. So it wasn't random. It was. I think it was very calculated. I think it came out in a way that was seemed like it was fluffing my feathers to scare people off. But no, it was calculated. It was a calculated move.
Yeah, beautiful.
I didn't think I'd get a biter, but little did I know that there's something in the koala tit juice down there that makes fucking guys go crazy. And then next thing you know, they're like, oh, $50,000? Drug test? Bingo! That's me. I've been waiting for this moment my whole goddamn life.
Mate, we are like vultures. We will sniff around and wait for that dead carcass ready to jump on any opportunity.
Yeah,
and I think
dingoes. What do you have over there? Do you have dingoes? Are you guys dingoes, or is that Africa?
No. They've probably got them over there. I don't know. I've never been. I don't really care.
Backyard right now, eating your trash and shit.
We are pet kangaroos, mate. We've got them all. That's why I've had to get up a little bit early. He's just in the backyard having a cigarette. That's just what happens over here now. So you've sorted out the terms. Because you're not one to really back down from anything. I mean, I'm sure if someone was annoying you, you would just love to go break their arm. So what happens when you wake up and then the internet's gone mad that someone in your division has gone, I reckon I can beat the champ? What goes through your mind?
Oh man, I get it. I get it every day, and it's mostly from guys that I've beat. So I'm like, can I catch a break here? What goes through my mind is, actually, a lot of people are getting on Ryan's ass because he took this match saying he needed to be in line. But I laid out long before this interaction with Ryan, I laid out there to all these guys a very easy recipe to follow to have a match with me if they really wanted it, outside of any other guidelines. Very easy. Bang, bang, bang. Nobody took me up on it. So at that point in time, it's not my problem if Ryan got the match and they didn't. It's their problem. But what goes through my mind? Of course, what brought me into this sport is that mindset of like, let's go prove, let's go bang, let's have at it. Let's see where we're at. So when people just want to fucking jar, that shit does it make me crazy? Oh yeah. Because if they were within 5 feet of me, I'd have punched their mouth. But they're not. So what can you do online? What can you do? You can do nothing but beat them in a war of wits. But how do you fuck with somebody that your wit in speech is faster than their fucking brain can compute? How? So now you can't even properly insult somebody. And that hurts me so now you can't punch them and you can't properly insult them. What do? You just gotta sit there and go, kumbaya, you know?
And the best thing about this all, for those that don't know, the difference in time between Rob and myself is about 15 hours. So when Rob whips out a video and mosquito video and things like that and throws some jibes, he has to wait, a minimum of 10 hours before he gets a reply, which I think would give you an absolute brain aneurysm. You sit there and you guys have gone back and forth. You guys have gone back and forth and everyone's enjoyed it. So then, when was the moment? Because as you said, everyone's lost their mind that Ryan's jumped the queue, so to speak. For me, I think he's just shown initiative. Wants his big Marlin trophy. You're the best in the business in the middleweight division. He's gone and got it. So then, like, when was the moment? Because early on, it was like, Ryan, leave me alone. You're bothering me. To, all right, let's chat. Let's have this match.
It was when I saw that he showed sincerity. Because at that point in time, I go, I'm not going to be the guy to try to sell you off of me anymore, going, like the bully that's, you don't want none of this. You don't want, and if he keeps going, yeah, I do. I'm like, at that point in time, I'm like, well, let me show you. And if in fact he is that good, then why keep holding him down by going, well, you need to prove yourself. You know what? Let's just give it a run. And that's part of that mindset, that warrior mindset, that I don't think he doesn't deserve a shot. If he puts in the work and he puts in the time, which he has, and I've seen him pull guys that he's supposed to get crushed by and win. Make no mistake, I'll break his balls, but I have a lot of respect for his education and time put in the sport. Like, I look at him as big of a threat as anyone that I've pulled thus far. Now, however that pans out in the result, do I look at him different than I did Storm Chelino or Jordan Sill or Craig Tullier? No. To me, it makes me more uncomfortable because he's got all the time on his hands right now, and like his world is encompassed in arm wrestling. He's not going and working a construction job and then trying to fit it in at home. Whenever anybody makes something that this is their all, it's like the theory of osmosis. You've got to take it very seriously. I know that the person that I'm going to be getting in 4, 6, 8 months, whenever this pops off and we get the logistics right, I'm assuming the worst case scenario. And to me, a lot of people, it's easy to be a computer cowboy and say like, oh, you're going to steamroll him. But I always think the worst case scenario that's going to be a bad motherfucker showing up.
Oh, wow. That certainly threw me a bit off. Wasn't expecting that. I thought I'm going to snap his arm and then eat his babies or something like that. I thought I was going to get a Mike Tyson response.
I may, but that's how I get myself prepared. Yeah. I get myself ready by assuming that prime Denis Cyplenkov is showing up. Because if I just say I'm going to snap his arm, it's easy to get into a comfortable lane, right? Yeah. For me, discomfort equals comfort, if that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I can fall into a lane of training and the right ideology if I'm uncomfortable. And I'm uncomfortable.
And you've got to understand, everyone, Rob's ideology, you really need to go back and watch his videos. Because when he's talking about SpaceX and things like that, the guy just... It's hilarious. It's hilarious. That SpaceX thing. Neil Pickup... he almost pissed his pants, and I absolutely lost it when I watched it. It came out of nowhere. So then this whole process, now you guys will announce it when it's all said and done. So everyone just hold on to your knickers. It will be announced when they've got it. What's the one thing you've loved about this process, and what's the one thing that has just really, really annoyed you throughout this whole process in the matchup with Ryan?
All right, so the one thing I've loved is the way it's evolved. So it started out as Ryan hounding me and me pushing him down, and then it became a little bit of a smear and you're not worthy and whatnot. And then it evolved to be something bigger than both of us, which is a movement that I'm very passionate about. I'm passionate about drug-free arm wrestling, and if he's willing to participate in that, then that gives me a platform to do something that I've been passionate about for decades now. The thing I haven't liked is the misunderstanding. The idea that there's a pecking order or a list that he has to go through. And really, that, like I've said in another video, that takes away my liberties to pick who I want to pull with. If I want to go to Alaska right now because I hear the fucking Yeti is lighting shit up at some ice bar, and he's got a big hairy fucking arm laying down Eskimos, and somebody tells me they're going to give me 15 salmon to lay that motherfucker down, I don't want to say, should I call the organization or the CIA or Bill Clinton or some shit?
Yeah.
No, I want to go fuck up a Yeti if I feel like it. And if I want to, in turn, get my arm broken and give the guy a salmon salad, it's on me. I don't want to feel like I'm owned. And I think there's a lot of misconceptions about the pecking order and whatnot. This is just a match that happens to make sense during these crazy fucking times. And I think there's a misconception. And I do think there's a misconception. I can only go by what's on the internet, but I think his ability is as good as a lot of the people on the roster. I don't think it's easy to say, like, the safe place is, like, behind my little fence is, like, he's got to prove himself. But I do think he's capable. I think he's capable of beating me. I don't know. But he's good. He's good.
Yeah. And just a quick side note, your first t-shirt, if you do any merchandise, should be, I want to fuck up the Yeti. That has to be your first t-shirt. Yes.
With a hairy arm on the bar and a stack of salmons that we're going to arm wrestle for. Done.
And he'd be like, oh, I want to fuck up a Yeti. Yeah, absolutely. Because when the internet's gone mad and he's like, needs to do the pecking order, like the names that you mentioned, which we'll talk a bit later, like you've already pinned them. Like you've almost ran through the middleweight division. It's almost like you have to go back on reruns. And then you're like, well, who's new? Who's next? And then, yeah, this little Aussie's just jumped out of nowhere. So the evolution of that is something that you've loved. What's the one thing that has really annoyed you?
Yeah, it's that. It's the misconception about what the match stands for and the fact that it shouldn't be happening. Because if you get out of your box and look at what it stands for, I think it should be happening. And I also think that, if I throw it out there and say, this is how you get the job, and the guy comes with the criteria, give him the job. Why dick him around anymore? You know, I'm not a terrible person. The guy, I'm flattered if he wants to chase me down around the globe, and if he wants to put up his hard-earned money. So at that point in time, if he's willing to do that, what am I going to do? Keep saying no? It's almost like, what can I do? You know, so it's as simple as putting my arm on a table. And, you know, I think there's misconceptions around it, and I'm past that angstful side of it. I'm now looking at it as a side that's like a great match. Yes, the guy was a pain in my ass. No doubt about it. He was a fucking boil on my ass. But I've since popped that and alleviated it and drained the pus and everything. And now it's just like, let's talk about a match. Now it's just a match. Now it doesn't have to be anything more than that. We're pulling. That's it. That happens in the UFC sometimes. Sometimes guys that are training partners that love each other, it comes down to they both have a common goal. And they got to hit heads. And it sucks that they've got to punch each other in the face, but sometimes that's the trajectory it goes on.
That happens.
See, Space fucking X sometimes meets Space Semi-X. Semi-hard-on X. How's that talk?
Limp X.
Semi-hard-on X. Drunken driving Space X.
Yeah, need Viagra X. Need Viagra X. That's the thing. And if you're a middleweight puller out there, God, if you're a middleweight puller and you don't have a poster of this guy wanting to beat him, why are you in the sport? This is the Mecca. He is the man that you got to go for. I believe he's the best in the world as well, including European, Africa, wherever. I think he's the best in the world. This is the middleweight guy, and he's a generic freak. And if this match, very passionate about this next point, when this match pulls off, and we've proven that it's drug-free, and we've proven there's big money, this could be the first step of getting arm wrestling in the Olympics. Getting arm wrestling. You could be the pioneer, Mr. Vincent Jr. You could be the pioneer of the first step, and ironically, in 2032, the Olympics might be in Ryan's hometown in Brisbane.
Well, you know what? I just did a video that whenever I get thoughts, I just record them just so I know how I want to release them. That's why I release so much shit, because ironically, like, I always have these thoughts jumbling in my brain. Like, my brain always is fucking spitting out info. So I just record shit and see if I want to post it. And I laid down a kind of a guideline on a video I just recorded before you rang me, how to make a self-funded, almost like unionized type of drug-free league where the pullers can unionize it and we could have a big yearly tournament, and then as it grows, you get more tournaments. But like the Olympics is once every 4 years. This would be once every year as like the championships, but the athletes would be monitored, and it would be drug tested and everything, and the growth of it would be, a more internal from the organization, and it would only make the testing better and the quality better, and people would get paid.
Yeah.
And I just made that, and I'm hoping, from all the feedback I've got from all these things, I'm like, I think it's possible. I do think it's possible. As much as people want to see the Levans and Dennises, they don't. There's a lot of them that don't.
Sorry.
Because you know what? Where's Dennis now? When's the last time I'll tell you what, my record in 2019 is better than his.
So no, you wouldn't be assuming Dennis and Levan are on something. No.
Well, I'm just saying, like, it's my movement. They do what they want to do, okay? And it's the old live by the sword, die by the sword. And I made a video that was like, it doesn't have to be a replacement. It's in addition to. But I do recognize that there's a group of people, and when you're talking a world of 7 billion people, that other alternate group could be fucking humongous. So why not fill that void, especially where I got kids coming up? I know which side I want them to be on. And I think if we could make a legitimate world championship that was legitimately tested through and through and through and legitimately regulated, I don't care if there's 3 people at the world championship at the end. You went through the paces, you raise your hand, you're the world champion of 2021, 2022, whatever, and then as it grows, whatever. You guys want to have your shit over there, that's fine. But this right here is our world. This is what we're doing, and you're going to get people that hate that because the male race is a weird, insecure fucking terrain. You might as well be on Mars.
We're definitely weird units as the male. Now let's just squash all the rumours, guys. While we're speaking about that, just so you know, the Aussie arm wrestlers all natural. I mean, look at that. They look like arms, but only smaller.
I've been watching you. I think you gained about 1.5 pounds in the last 5 years. I gotta get you to piss in a cup for me before I give you that nod.
I tell you what, that would be one of the best videos ever. Is you filming and just watching the drug testing guy's reaction of you pissing in a cup. That would be a hilarious. I could just
you or me.
You're pissing in a cup, and you just obviously you're not filming. You jump, but you just film.
I'll piss in a cup. I was saying you piss in a cup. I was like, are you trying to hide something? Are you trying to get on camera? Do you have an agenda? Do you have a fucking salamaguta like this?
Yeah, that
I don't know. What is your agenda here?
Maybe that's my avenue. Maybe I can just sell my urine to some athletes because it's just full of beer. Now, there it is, guys. I want to talk about other stuff with RVJ because there's more to him than this match, but he is a pioneer. What him and Ryan are doing when this match happens is an absolute game changer. I think it is fantastic. I think it'll show some of the guys, and I think it'll help someone like a monster Michael Todd, who he has openly said he hasn't got that many right-hand matches left, and that guy needs to get paid, just like you need to get paid. Ryan's been about branding himself over being in contract. So now if we're getting big money matches in the sport of arm wrestling, Ryan and the 3 letters of doom here are 2 people you definitely need to thank. Now, the WAL. The WAL, it's on again, it's off again, it's on again. But, as we mentioned before, you have run through the middleweight division. It has been unbelievable. You've beat Nicholas Stead. You've beat him. Todzilla Storm Cholino. Jordan Sill. Craig Tullia. Like, they were giving you exhibition matches. That's where I'm heading to. You were running through the competition. They had to get one of the world's strongest men to pull you. What were you thinking when they said, we've got you Eddie Hall for the 600 series? How did that come about?
I think what it was a way to use a very well-known guy in the strength world draw, to cast light upon the sport and how strong these athletes really are. Because I've often told many a strong guy that I could get a 150-pound guy I train with to make you feel really bad about your strength levels. And I think that was just a bigger version of that for TV, because when you get a 450-pound guy with the credentials of Eddie Hall pulling me, now on a lot of fronts, when I'm not arm wrestling, people think I'm a big guy. I'm over 6 foot and I'm, 200 plus pounds, and my weight's distributed in the right way. But with Eddie Hall being almost 400 and the world's strongest man, I'm apparently a very little guy. So I think they wanted to put it together for that contrast to showcase the athlete. So I think it came about in a very calculated way to showcase the athletes. And Eddie was being, as far as I know, he had no misconceptions, and he had he loved the sport, and he was on board with helping the process of the. When I say helping, there was no fake matches going to happen here. No. There was nothing staged, but I think he wanted. I think it was in a realistic place of what to expect, and that meant if I wanted him to go on the bus to Throttle City, I could have. That meant if I wanted him to be on the bus of destruction. But I think that he was on board as a friend of the league and Neil Pickup, that he wanted to help promote it because he had a respect and an admiration for all things strength. And arm wrestling being a strength sport, he wanted to be part of that. And I think the league thought that was a great way of presenting it with a middleweight against the world's strongest man. But there's many forms of strength, and strength could be deadlifting or it could be bending something with your wrists. Who's stronger? It depends on what you're talking about. If I'm talking about twisting people's wrists, I'm stronger. If he's talking about picking shit up off the floor, he's stronger. So it's tit for tat. But that's how that came about. It just was presented to me, and I said, I mean, he's got a massive following. Eddie's got a massive following.
Oh, yeah.
So what would hurt from exposure? I said, let's hit it. Why not?
That's so cool. Phone call. Hey, mate, we've run out of middleweight contenders. We just need to get one of the world's strongest men to pull you at the 600 series. Oh, that would have been a wicked phone call. So then try and wind your mind back to 2020, RVJ. It's a best of 5 exhibition match. We know it was going to be 3-0, but how easy would the 3-0 win have been? Well, I genuinely thought it was going to be a 3-0.
Yeah, I do too. I think it would have been, I was going to do what a lot of people thought I couldn't do, because I was going to I was going to hook him. I wasn't going to just whack his hand. I was going to hook him, because I believe that now, as the thing that stopped me from having some of the side pressure, we'll say, of past, was I had a shoulder injury, so I had to rely on my hand and my, rotation and my bicep out here. But now that this is starting to heal up, a lot of people underestimate just how strong my arm is. And they were like, well, Eddie's stronger, Rob's more technical. Woo. I was like, I'm going to hook that motherfucker, and I'm going to make him wish I top rolled him. I'm going to get in there and stuff him. So it would have been 3-0. How easy? I'm always backing myself. If I'm trained, I think it would have been. I think it would have been real easy. But in all due respect, this is my game, and I think he had full awareness of that. And good on him for having his credentials and willing to step up when guys who are actually trained arm wrestlers won't step up. He'll step up when he's not a trained arm wrestler, but other guys will hide behind their computers going, fucking, you believe this fucking guy? He's talking this shit. What's this? I'll beat his ass. I won't ever actually do it, but I'll talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
So
Cats coaches.
Him, you know what I mean? Like, he was being a good sport. It's hard to be in a place where you're crowned the world's strongest man and you're comfortable with the idea of getting dominated by a guy half your weight.
Yeah.
That's a massive kick to the ego, and being a good sport like that, I think, is incredible. It's a really good nod on his willingness to take it on the chin for the advancement of sporting and his lack of ego, at least, to try to help the big picture. So, nothing but respect. It never kicked off, but the little bit that I do know, huge respect for Eddie Hall. Huge.
Hopefully next year. And how could anyone underestimate your strength? Your biceps are the size of basketballs. I don't know. Has anyone turned on a TV and watched this guy pull? Like they pop out of the screen. I feel like they're going to explode. One time they almost did explode though. Championship night in the 500 series, you took on the great Justin Bishop. He's just a fantastic guy. Another guy that just shoots it straight from the hip. Love it. Round one, this is where I really want to find out. So round one just shocked the world. Shocked the world and just got a relatively quick pin on you. We all know what the result was after that. What happens then? You've come in, you've trained, it's championship night, you're defending your hammer, you're the man, and then round one doesn't go the way that you want. What goes through the mind? What's the game plan?
I was suspicious of that. I considered that happening exactly as it happened. I almost spoke it into fruition. I looked at Justin. A lot of people look at Justin as a 176 guy, and really he had grown into being that 205-pound guy. And at 176, he had beat, this is how I rationalized it. People are like, oh, he'll beat Justin easy. I rationalized and said, Justin's a very intelligent puller, and he happens to be a friend of mine. I consider him a friend. And at 176, he beat the best 176 in the world at the time, which was Giannis. Giannis, he beat him in the straps very convincingly. So I'm like, if he bulks up to 205 and the weight carries and he's an intelligent puller and knows how to use it, what could stop him from beating the best 205 in the world convincingly if he's got that skill set? And everybody knows that the straps are still kind of a mystery for me, even though I've been winning in them. But for him, he's very good in them. So my insecurity going in there was knowing that weight for weight, he's beat the best guys in the world, and his straps were that good. So I needed a trace around. I needed to know what I'm feeling. And I'm not this master technician that dissects, but I have to feel something. And in the first round, he got a cracking start, and he took control. And there's just sometimes you gotta, when over a 5-rounder, you gotta know when to dig and when not to dig. And he took it to the house, and it was a great start. And he pulled in the straps. He did everything I expected of him in my insecurities and fears. He basically took all my insecurities and fears and made them reality in that first round.
It was unbelievable. And a side story, that first round upset a lot of patients and a lot of nurses at a hospital in Melbourne. I just had hip surgery. You guys had pulled throughout the night, so I watched it on replay, had my earphones in, forgot where I was, and then when Justin got the pin, I just screamed at like 11 o'clock at night. I was like in a hospital bed. I was like, what? Oh! And I was like, oh, sorry. And then, of course, they all coming running in. I was like, I'm sorry.
Well, you got to understand, too, we were in Atlanta, and he's a Southern boy. So, really, except for my wife, my brother-in-law, and my sister, everyone else in the room was pro Justin Bishop. So, when he pinned me, that fucking place sounded like it was Happy New Year when the ball drops. It was like, bang. When I won, it was like 3 people cheering.
Yeah.
So, it was a pretty exciting moment. I knew what it meant for him. And I'm not gonna say it didn't fuck me up, because I'm like, am I deluded or am I gonna be able to correct this? And I was, very stoic in trying to figure out what I did there that needed to be corrected and what I felt. And it played out the way it played out, but he's just an excellent example of technicality and power. He's an excellent puller. And people will say, well, I beat Justin Bishop. Did you ever beat that 205-pound version? Did you ever beat the version that I came against? You did it at 176 or 180. That fucking guy who showed up at 205, did you ever pull him? then don't talk. Just shut your mouth, eat your fucking Frosted Flakes, and go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, that's the only way. It's the only way to do it. I love reading. I sometimes get the popcorn out and read some of these internet comments.
Yeah.
I got no problem when some of them are intelligent, but when you click on someone and they're slightly overweight, they got love handles and things like that, and a double chin, and they're trying to tell, a Justin Bishop or an RVJ how to pull. Those types of people really excite me, and especially if you can get your hands on them as well in the comments. That is hilarious. So then, you've pinned it, you've got you're the hammer holder and things like that. Is there anyone that you would really like to pull in the middleweight division? Is there anyone that's kind of like up and coming or you've got an eye on? And just say you weren't pulling Eddie Hall. Was there someone in the division that you just go, yeah, all right, I reckon I could have a good match with him?
That's a tough question because I'll take it from two stances. Someone that I see coming up, you have everyone looks at Paul Lynn, that he's coming up very good, and I'll give him the nod that he's definitely a very talented puller. But for my excitement level, for where I would like to be, I would like a shot at some of the guys who have a resume similar to mine that we've never met up with in like Europe, like to kind of like unify, like a Rustam or a Zoloev or a Sasha Andreev or if Prudnik, lets the fucking gas out of the balloon and shrinks back down to 297 pounds. Just one of those types of guys that usually resides around, even in Hermes, but Hermes blew up. And I like the idea of pulling some of the open guys. I always loved the idea of pulling the open guys because I don't want to be the best guy in my class. I want to see where I fall in the rankings overall as I progress. However, yes, there is a lot of talent here in this country. But if you were asking me to place my top 5 guys I want to pull in order, it's not a disrespect, but there are guys that have resumes out there. It's like Highlander. Did you ever watch this show, Highlander?
Oh, yeah, man. I was born in the 80s.
Head off, you take his powers and all his shit. Like a guy like Sasha, who's won WAF in multiple huge events in Europe, or Rustam, who's a legend for 15 years now. You cut him off. You almost take his resume. You take that, and it squashes a lot of the doubts of your legitimacy. So that's what gets me excited. The Krasny, same thing. Krasny, amazing, legendary puller. So those types of guys really, of course, they make me uncomfortable, but they also, that's what I want. Yeah.
Is there a chance you would go to Europe and pull these guys?
Yeah, there is a good chance. I've been looking at it this year because I've come to the conclusion that we only got so many years in this life in sport that if people think they're going to pin me down under their thumb and own me. Now, I'll make this clear. I'm not a money motivated, driven person. We all need money. Money makes everything legitimate. Because otherwise, why would you go to your job tomorrow, right? You have standards that you would stay to the job or quit over, but you're not only about the money. But the money is what gets you to and fro. It gets you by in life. But I just won't be owned. I have a set of like morals to a stance, but I also, I only got so much time in this life, and I want to explore my options, and I can't be owned in other ways. I have to take one thing we can't buy is time, and I need to see where I'm at because this is like the drug-free league. No one's giving me that option, so I'm going to make that option.
Yeah. And
if no one's going to give me the opportunity to like, come to Europe or we'll bring the Europeans to you, well, motherfucker, I'll just go to Europe.
Yes.
And it's something I've been talking about since the beginning of the year. And I do think that there's a strong possibility. And anyone who thinks they own me, like I said, nobody's paying me to be an athlete throughout the year. Nobody's been sending checks through COVID saying, hope your training's good. Nobody's been sending me protein packs and saying, hope your training's good. So you can't own me. You own me while I'm at your event. I'll show up when you say. I'll weigh in at the weight you set, and I'll pull who you put in front of me. But when I leave, if you aren't paying me, guess what? I'm a free fucking agent.
Get to Europe. Bang! Yes, you pull all those guys, put your stance on it because you're pitting everyone. Get to Europe. Start a GoFundMe page. Start something. Let's all help Rob get to Europe. I will definitely donate to that to get you over there and start pinning all those guys. Because I'm not only excited about you pinning the guys, I'm excited about the videos that will come on your YouTube channel afterwards after you've pinned them all. Oh, I've almost fallen off my chair about how exciting it'll be.
They go over there, they go, you don't know what it's like pulling over there. I'm like, yeah, that's coming from you. You didn't know. What the fuck makes you think I didn't know? Just because you had a miseducation doesn't mean I didn't know. And just because you fell on your fucking face doesn't mean I will. Don't put you and me, whoever you is. They're like you don't know what it's like over there. Why? Why? A guy with a fast hit and a strong arm? You think I never pulled that before? What is going to happen to all your poor little fucking brains if I go over there and win?
Oh.
You mean we're not born inferior because we were born on American soil? You mean that God didn't curse us as soon as we weren't born in a place that doesn't end in Ixtan?
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, if Rob gets over to Europe, invest in popcorn because I will be buying a ton of it to sit in the comments section.
When I show up there, I'm going to be a bad motherfucker. And I'm going to...
You're a bad man now. I don't know how you can elevate yourself.
I say when as in it's a good chance. It's a good chance.
That is.
It just depends on when me and Ryan pop off. Yeah. So, I'm looking at Zloty like what, September, October, November. I don't know when it goes off. So it all depends when me and Ryan pop off. But I've been looking at it since 2004, and I've always said it was my bucket list. So I can't promise, but I'm saying that it's part of my planning process at the moment.
That's magnificent. I will start packing my bags because it's a bucket list of mine to put a headset on and call one of your matches live. That's where the Aussie arm wrestler wants to go. That's his goal. He just wants to be a professional commentator like Neil Pickup. And if you're going to Zloty or even the exhibition match with Ryan, I will somehow weasel my way there to call it. That is unbelievable, the confidence you are having. Now, we'll put a bit of fun into the show. We've had heaps of fun now, but I always love to play a game with everyone that comes on the show. You've got 3 options. I'm going to give you the names of 3 people, and you have to choose between these 3 people. You have to pin one, you have to lose to one, and you have to tell one of them you're not pulling anyone in 2021. So pin one, lose to one, and get rid of one. You get 2 goes at it because you're the champ. I'm going to give you 2 different options. So your first option, it's your lovely wife, Heather, your daughter, Isabella, and your daughter, Gabriella. So out of those 3, you have to pin one, you have to lose to one, and you have to tell one of them you're not pulling in 2021.
Okay, so pin one, lose one, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll pin Isabel because she's got upside, but she's kind of been living in Gabriella's shadow, and I'm still her superhero, so she'll take the loss easier. Gabriella hasn't lost in years, many years, so she would have a hard time with the loss, so winning for her would keep her on her trajectory. And Heather, well, she probably fucked up my dinner or something, and she should be staying at home, and she's not going anywhere in 2020.
What an analogy!
No, but the truth is, if I was to keep someone back, a loss to Isabel would be like, you move on from there. But Heather, she's not a competitor, so if we're going to cut an option, we'll cut her options. And Gabriella, she's on an absolute win streak for many years now. And I would hate to take that from her. So I'll take the loss to her. Isabel, she's coming, but she's unfortunately. It's like Bill Brzezinski and John Brzezinski. Bill Brzezinski in his own right was absolutely incredible. And I don't know where Isabel will be when they're same age for same age. They might be the same. It's just right now she's kind of living in her sister's shadow, which is tough. That's a sucky place to be. And she's got brothers that she squashes that they maybe grow up to be better than I ever was. But as of this very second in time, Gabriella is the one with the spotlight on her. So I'll give her the win, her the loss, and use it as a learning experience. And Heather, get back to making apple pies.
Oh my God, he's come on the show and trash talked his wife. That is the best analogy. Oh, there it is. That is brilliant. And for the fans that are watching, I'll give you 3 pullers as well. But I was so keen. That was better than what I thought it was going to be. So then if we're going to do three pullers, same scenario. I'll give you Toddzilla, Neil Pickup, and Paul Lynn. Same thing. Pin one, lose one, get rid of one.
All right, pin one. Toddzilla undoubtedly, because that's been a question that I've wanted to settle for so many years now. That's really the only one. When there's ever a talk about the best middleweight in the last 10, 15 years, it's me and him.
Yeah.
So he has to be the one I pin. Lose one, well, we'll get rid of Paul Lynn because I think he's got a lot of uprising, like star potential, and he's coming up in the ranks. So what better way to do that than just get rid of the motherfucker? Listen, but if you don't exist, then we can't compete, right? And then lose to one would be Neil Pickup because I'm throwing a friend a bone. Yeah. And I go, Neil's got a very decorated career, but at least the record between us is 0-0. So I could handle a 0-0 record, and you throw a guy a bone or you take a loss, it's 0-1. It's not really a long-standing record like me and Todd have. Yeah. And Paul Lynn being in the running for the hammer, I got to pick the lesser of the two evils. This has to be a very calculated move. So Neil Pickup, for all your commentary and all your podcasts and all your good stuff, I could slide in there that, we kept it a friendly match and he took the win. And then I eliminate the biggest U.S. threat, which would be Paul Lynn. So this whole board is a fucking win. I smash I get rid of my biggest uprising threat, and I throw a retired friend a bone. So not only am I a humanitarian, but I'm a problem solver.
Oh.
Bam!
Why aren't you president? Sort that out with that thought process.
You know what? I've thought about that. I don't have the money backing, but I would probably get assassinated in my campaign because my lack of politics and political correctness would get me shot. There would be a group that would love me and make me a martyr, but there'd be probably a bigger group that wants me dead.
Oh, wow. No, they were both beautiful. Right. Going to fire through some questions. Got some questions here. You're not allowed to think.
I got answers.
Yeah, of course you got answers. Quick thinking. Here we go. Quick fire matches. Do you prefer super matches or tournaments?
Super matches. I think it's the truest form of competition, just like boxing. If we want to have a best tournament of boxing, it's going to be whoever takes the most damage. Super matches is fresh for fresh, and you get to dial in on your opponent individually. Anyone who tells you different, it's because they've shit their pants in super matches. Next question.
Are you a fan of the King's move?
Absolutely not.
Yes.
I think it's a desperation move. Yes. I think it's no longer what my vision of arm wrestling is, and everyone has their own vision. It's what I say in my training videos. We all have our own version. But no, I don't. No.
Who is your favorite child?
I have favorite qualities. I don't have a favorite child. At the moment, my youngest baby, Evelyn, because she gives me all the attention and love, and no matter what I do, what I smell like, if I didn't brush my teeth, she accepts me. My kids are getting old enough to call me out on all my bullshit. So she, right now, for loving me in all my weird fucking ways, I won't say favorite, but
yeah,
I gravitate towards her.
I was just hoping a name would accidentally pop out.
No, I can't.
I know. Why isn't there an RV3?
There is. I actually put up a picture today of the true RVJ Jr. The Rob Vigent Jr. is actually my dad.
Oh.
And they started calling me Rob Vigent Jr. because I used to arm wrestle in the beginning with my cousin who was also Rob Vigent. We had different names. And they didn't know how to differentiate us because he was in a weight class and I was in the same weight class. And I just said, call me Junior because I was the younger one. Oh. And really, Rob Vigent Jr. is my dad. Excuse me. And I'm the third. And my son is the fourth. So I'm really RV3. But my dad is the real RVJ. But it actually caught on from me and my cousin competing together. And they're like, how are we going to know who's who? I went, just call me Junior. So they started calling me Rob Vigent Jr. when really I'm the third.
There you go. Wow. Yes. All right. The super matches, the match with Ryan, you've got 6 rounds I think you've agreed to. What's the score going to be?
It depends on how I want to play it. If I want to make it ugly and go in with hate, 6-0. If I want to let him in the match and let him in his lane and play the strap game and play the angles he wants, I could honestly see him getting one if I want to let out enough real. But if I go in there with hate in my heart and the intent to hurt and make a statement, 6-0. But I could see him going 4-2 if I let out enough rope. But that's only based on my generosity. If I show up there like goodwill, he gets a couple. If I show up there like a bad motherfucker who wants the money or wants to make a statement, I got some shit in store that he never calculated for.
Here we go. So then that leads into the next question. What would be the first thing you buy with the prize money?
Without a doubt, and it sounds cheesy because it's like I'm going to Disney, but I would go back to Universal Studios with my kids. Yeah. One of the greatest times of my life. I went to Universal Studios. I went to Hogwarts with my kids. We did spells with the wizard wands. We went to the Volcano Bay. And for me, a kid who grew up kind of poor and never got to do any of that shit, I would go back there in a nanosecond and have the time of my life for a week and then figure out what to do with the rest from there.
Beautiful. Harry Potter fan as well. Look at this. This is fantastic. Wow. How many shirts have you ripped during your arm wrestling career?
None. I took my shirt off once, and it's been exactly once. And if you knew me, you know it's super out of character because I'm not that person who takes my shirt off. Actually, that version of me was a very insecure, feeling bad about myself version where I even wear a shirt at the beach when I go in the water. So people who use that picture against me like, oh, you're definitely on something. I'm like, that's the fat version of me. I used to walk around naturally very lean, very fit by accident, even when I was drinking and eating when I wanted. But age catches up with you. Lifestyle catches up with you. And that version where I took my shirt off is so out of character. Like, I don't even go to the beach with my shirt off.
Wow! Wow! There's an exclusive if I've ever heard one. And last question, do you ever get dizzy from the amount you scream at the table?
Yeah. Yeah. I've gone to black where there have been times I've had to grab the table peg because I've almost gone down on my head. Oh. I've faded to black.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to pick it, but some like, because I watch a lot of your highlights all the time, and you scream, but you take it to the next level. And even I'm sitting on the couch going, whoa, even I'm a bit dizzy there.
Yeah, it's a release of a lot of chemicals and hormones and whatever's coming out of me, and sometimes I don't know, I don't get the right blood flow to my dome or something, and I've almost keel over. But have I got dizzy? Oh yeah, I've almost gone down a few times, almost more than a few times. It's been scary.
And just before we finish up, 2 things. The first thing, I'll get you to nominate someone who you think would have a bit of fun on the show.
Okay. Fun on the show, like who you want to interview?
Yeah. Who do you think would be cool to come on the show?
I guess it depends on how much you prod at them and pick on them and whatnot. Like we all know that like a guy like Travis is a good talker and he likes to bust balls and keep it real. I think Devin is a deep thinker and a fun guy, and he likes to. These are guys that we know very well, As far as if you want a guy that is not as well known, but he's throwing his own tournaments, and I think his wits and humor and everything are as good as anybody's. I would say James Reed. He's a good friend of mine. He's out in New York, and his wife, the Black Scorpion, she competes. So he's got a movement for women's arm wrestling, and he's throwing great tournaments. And the thing is these are people, unlike Devin and Travis, that don't get enough airtime. And him and I talk on the regular, and we were actually talking about doing a podcast much like me and you because we have such a good natural banter. So if you wanted to ask him questions, he's got a great idea of the landscape. And if he doesn't know, he'll be like, I don't know who that fucking guy is. Fuck that guy. So, he'll be like, he's somebody that, for what he's pushing for and what he stands for with, the women's arm wrestling and arm wrestling in general, what he's put into it, as well as his own past. He's got a very decorated fight career. I'd say it's better to pull back the curtain for the guy who doesn't get as much exposure. So I'd look up James Reed.
Yeah, definitely want to get James and Michelle. James, I think Paul Lynn nominated them a while ago. And
100%, yep.
Absolutely. Guys, I'm looking at the time. I could talk to this man for hours. That we'll wrap it up because Rob and I will just shoot the shit for hours on end. Rob, blown away. Once again, thank you for your patience, guys. You didn't see the behind the scenes, but Rob and his wife Heather were fantastic when I absolutely butchered yesterday. They were really good. Thank you so much for coming on the show, guys. If you haven't already, just go over to his channel. You'll be highly, highly entertained. I watch the same videos a few times, which I don't have time to watch a lot of videos. That's how entertaining he is. Honestly, Rob, from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Dude, honestly, thank you so much. Legitimately, like I said, I don't blow smoke. I'm a super fan, and I really think that I hope you get recognized for your off-the-cuff commentary the way it is. And I really hope we bump into each other in the future on the trajectory we hope to be on. I hope you get to be everything you want to be, and same here, and we bump. Well, I hope we're two SpaceXs that meet in the night.
Our rocket ships will collide, guys. I really appreciate
wait a minute. That could be misconstrued. I don't want our rocket ships bumping into each other.
No, we're not touching swords.
I hope I see you in a better place.
No, I cannot wait to have a beer with you. Cannot wait to call an event for you. Guys, everyone say bye to Rob. Thank you so much, my man.
Likewise, buddy.